In any kind of business, it's about sales, it's about production. I couldn't do it for the sake of meeting a goal or meeting a number. So just be there, be a resource for them.
You're listening to the new season of Find the Good News, episode 60, The Free Fall, featuring Lydia Fruge and Kyle Mestayer of the Tower Hour podcast. Find the Good News is produced by Parker Brand Creative Services, a branding agency that thinks sideways, pushes forward, and gets your brand up. See what else we do at parkerbrandup.com. Welcome to episode 60, the first episode of the new season of Find the Good News. In this episode, I get to visit with the hosts of the Tower Hour, one of the podcasts we produce under the Parker Brand Creative Services umbrella. I've really enjoyed the conversations between Lydia and Kyle and their guests, and I thought it would be great to have them on the other side of the experience. I think you'll enjoy meeting them both. I'm really excited about this year of Find the Good News. We experimented with a variety of things last season. Many of them stuck, so you can expect even more mixtapes, road trips, and live episodes right out of the gate. Next week we have 2 live episodes. The first is with the folks from Whistle Stop. They'll be promoting their upcoming Spooky Fun Run fundraiser taking place right here in Sulphur, Louisiana. The second live show will be with the editors and chefs of Southern Cast Iron Magazine. They'll be here to promote the Southern Cast Iron Cook-Off taking place in Lake Charles, Louisiana next month. You can listen and chat live on both of these episodes using the Mixlr app. You can get that app at mixlr.com for your smartphone. That's mixlr.com. We have a lot of fun on these live shows, and the listeners get to play along and take the Livewire challenge with Lightning Round. Make sure to follow Find the Good News on social media for the specific dates, times, and links to the live shows. Next Wednesday's regularly scheduled episode features my conversation with Ted Thibodeau and Jody Barlow of the group Halos. This is an important episode for anyone that has lost a loved one or friend to suicide. Halos is a Southwest Louisiana support group that offers a safe and healing space to work through the feelings that come with this specific type of loss. With death by suicide numbers being disproportionately high in Calcasieu Parish, their work is more important than ever. This is an episode that you'll want to listen to and share. This new season is already shaping up to be something special, and I'm honored to bring these conversations with good people right to your ears week after week. Now, let's shake the cobwebs from our minds, get in a really good stretch, roll your neck a few times, maybe even crack your knuckles, and press play on a new season of Find the Good News. I never planned on producing podcasts for other people when I dreamed up Find the Good News. But when I met Lydia Fruge and Kyle Mestayer, both young lenders at Bank FNBD, I could see that they had a special passion for people's stories and the gift you need to carry an ongoing podcast, the ability to move a conversation into interesting territory. It might be very easy to feel a little blasé when it comes to talking dollars and cents, but after producing their first episode of the Tower Hour, I knew there was nothing bland about this dynamic duo, nor the conversations they were going to have with their local guests. The Tower Hour podcast is now 10 episodes strong, with several more recorded for launch and even more scheduled for the future. The guests are interesting, sharing their hopes, dreams, plans, and pitfalls with Lydia and Kyle. They explore personal territory, and what I've discovered is that tales of dollars and cents are often painted with wonderful colors, adorned with the details that travel in the tailwind of a human life. Their guests provide fresh perspectives on entrepreneurship, each with their own unique motivations, plans, and advice. So often we see only the brand from the outside of the package, but Lydia and Kyle provide a fresh look from inside the container, taking each guest on a series of free-fall questions designed to give listeners a peek inside their hearts and minds. I have enjoyed getting to know these young Bank FNBD bankers. They have a positive energy and seem truly motivated to help people through their service. More than that, I continue to enjoy working with them on their podcast, The Tower Hour, and I look forward to sitting silently during their guest interviews, absorbing each and every word, and I believe you will too.
Wake up, it's morning, you're dreaming up a story. I can hear the way it's going, 'cause you're laughing in your sleep on the path to your deliverance. and a holy wall of light pouring through your window.
Old news, bad news, fake news. Sometimes you just want to shut it all down and get no news at all. With Find the Good News, I aim to change that by focusing on good people doing good work. I visit with artists, educators, civic and spiritual leaders, musicians, business owners, students, volunteers, and everyday citizens who are using their creativity, resources, and talents to bring hope and happiness to their corner of the world. In each episode, I dig into the hearts and minds of my extraordinary guests. We have street-level conversations about relatable things going on in their lives. Discover the critical life experiences that shape them, the perspectives that drive them, and the fundamental beliefs that are anchoring them to a path of goodness. There's a lot of news in the world. My name is Oran Parker, and I'm going to find the good.
And I love you just as well.
This is a little different. We're rolling, by the way. Just warning y'all.
Okay.
I usually sabotage people. I don't know if y'all have listened to my show,
Just
but
like randomly start it.
I start it, and then like sometimes they're like 30 minutes in, and they're like,
What we do?
Are we recording yet? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, dang, I didn't even know. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to do that.
I was ready for anything, so
Okay.
I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to do that because you guys actually, just so people listening know, y'all come here once a week.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm with Kyle Mestayer and Lydia Fruge from the Tower Hour podcast with Bank FNBD.
Shout out.
Yeah. So just a little quick story for the listeners so they understand, I've had other guests come on this show that produce local podcasts. I'm kind of trying to make my way through everybody locally. There's not that many, honestly, and y'all are on that short list, which I think is actually kind of cool to be on the front end of something because I promise you, 5 years from now, there's going to be podcasts all over the landscape. Everybody's going to realize they can do it. They can do good shows. I mean, you're seeing people do it now,
right?
And we're having conversations with other people who are going, hey, I want to do a show too.
Like what you're doing, Oran, is you're going out, you're finding the good news out of all that, and you're bringing and you're shining light on the ones that stuck through it. And it was like, and now you're seeing the result of something that's been over a long period of time. Often you don't just wake up that person. Yeah,
resilience is something that you learn, but it's something I've always wanted. I mean, I've always wanted to be resilient. I mean, sure, would I like more peaceful times? Absolutely. Yeah. But if I'm not going to get them, do I just want to be lay in bed? That's always been a fear of mine, if I'm being 100% honest, that if I ever get to the point where I don't want to get out of bed, I know something's wrong because something has critically shifted in me because I haven't had it yet. I mean, there's been some things, I mean, that are definitely worth hitting that point or at that level where you go, okay, I'm just not going to do it today. I can't deal today, but I haven't hit it yet. I mean, and I hope I don't want to do that. I don't want to go. I always swing my feet over, put them both on the floor, and even on some of the worst days, just go, no, I know if I get up and I start to move, get my blood moving,
right?
Simple things like just getting some liquids,
right?
And then start doing something and then get some momentum, just a little momentum, going, then that wears off really quickly.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've been there, and that was one of the best pieces of advice to get me back on track when I was going through that point in my life where I couldn't swing my feet over, I couldn't get any momentum. I would put my head under my pillow and not move, and to be in that state, it's completely miserable. But what gets you out is exactly what you just said, man. The little things. Get up, make your coffee.
Yeah.
Just get up and make your coffee.
Yeah, and then just take it like one task at a time. Like I know a lot of people who have like anxiety because they may have like so many different things that they have to get done.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, don't look at the list. Just look at, okay, this is my next thing.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
Check it off.
Yep.
Okay, now the next one.
Yep.
Because you can take it in like little bites at a time versus trying to
what's
eat
first,
it all at
what's
once.
Next.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you're right. They even getting kind of circling back to people that are maybe have an idea to start a business, or people who are in the first stages of it, or even hell, just problems that arise later. It's doing one thing at a time. You can't, the reality of most things in life is you really, and it's this cliche because we've heard it many times, you can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
There are only so, we've heard it, there's so many hours in a day. That is all absolutely 100% true.
Yep.
You can go pretty far without sleep, but you're going to hit a wall. Mm-hmm. You're going to get tired. It's going to happen. The sun is going to go down, mm-hmm. and the next day is going to start over. And that's where I think sometimes, especially for us in our industry, and maybe y'all too, it's just so much of it's deadline driven. Deadline. You have to get to a point where you go, we can't hit all these. The end. You can't do everything.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do what you can and put some of it to bed the next day. Yep. It's just going to have to be the reality of it. And I think so often that stress in business comes from, or those feelings of fear come from taking too many things in because you're going, I need it. There's a fear that it won't be there tomorrow, that feast and famine. Mm-hmm. And so you take
scarcity.
Scarcity. Yeah, and you're operating from that, so you take as much as you can, and then you realize, oh, I can't even do all this. Mm-hmm. And then you're in a cycle of that. Bam, bam, bam. You're never balanced out.
Right.
You know, and a lot of beginning young businesses I see do that. They're like, we're going to take it all. We're going to do everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And then it's like, 5 years later, it's like, oh God, we can't do this. We got to tighten this up somehow, or we're going to do this for 20 years this way. Yeah. And it's going to be a wreck.
Ashley and I were talking in her office one day, and Ashley's our regional president, and she was just, she can see me hit those points where I'm pushing really hard and to an unhealthy extent. And she was just encouraging me, like, Kyle, you got to create that reserve. I said, what are you talking about? Like, I'm thinking she wants to see this out of me, because I always tell her, like, your approval is ultimately what I'm seeking. But she's not that type of supervisor. And I was like, just kind of threw me off at first, because I've never worked for a person like that before. And she's like, you got to create that reserve. I was like, you mean slow down? Come on now. Are you kidding me? What does that mean? Come at me with that. But when I finally got it and I realized how to create the reserve, man, I was more effective. Less things slip through the cracks. And once again, goes back to mentally, I was just more healthy. I was happier.
How did you create the reserve?
Setting upfront expectations, for one. Hey, I want to, of course, let's say hypothetically, Lydia, you're my client. You want to get this thing done. You're like, hey, Kyle, and you get this asked a lot. How fast can you get this done?
Right. Yeah, I deal with that every day of the week. Yeah,
because that's one thing you had coming from DeRidder down to Lake Charles. DeRidder doesn't have nearly as many banks, right?
Yeah.
When you have more competition, right?
Yeah, speed kills.
That's more pressure, more expectation there.
Okay.
So first of all, I had to understand. Okay, what type of relationship do I want to have? What type of relationship am I trying to seek? Am I seeking the person that's going to be like that towards me all the time and unrealistic? Or if I set that expectation and this is what this is going to look like, and these are the time frames that they're going to get done. And I always like to tell me, this is my goal. My goal is to get this done by X date, and usually X date to create the reserve is +3. Three more days than I know that I can actually get it done.
Right.
Because I've done it before, but then I lose family time, I lose my own time, like I lose everything else. I had 3 days to that day, and this is my goal to get this done. Right. And what often happens is that I operate at pace and get it done usually 1 to 2 days earlier than I told them already.
Yeah.
But I had the reserve, as she said.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is such a more comfortable pace to run at, and deadlines still get met. Expectations were laid out very clearly up front, and then obviously just keeping them updated, like, hey, this is where we are, and the things that I can control, you update. The things you can't control, you can't control those. So let's not focus on that. That's gonna we just don't have the control over it. So you have to relinquish some of that control if you are a control person, and allow what you can to control to actually do that, and set a realistic expectation, because if not, you're gonna spread so thin.
And I'm happy, I know it. I'm helpless.
Sorry for interrupting the conversation, but I have something I need to tell you about. You may or may not know this, but this podcast is produced in the city of Sulphur, Louisiana, one of the sister cities that make up Southwest Louisiana. All of my childhood memories are wrapped up in the city of Sulphur. It's my home, and it's been a good home for most of my life. There is a growing diversity of unique businesses, services, and events in Sulphur, each with a rich and colorful story to tell about their particular place in this little jewel on the west side of the Calcasieu River. My mission is to promote good news, to put a positive signal out in the world. That's why my team at Parker Brand Creative Services has created the new brand, Sulphur Today. Here's how it works. Post your Sulphur event, service, photos, videos, or information using the hashtag #SulphurToday. That's it. My team and I will scan and curate those posts through the social media platforms we've put in place. Before you make your post, just type hashtag. That's a £sign for the folks that don't know what a hashtag is. And the words Sulphur Today with no space. My team at Parker Brand is monitoring this tag right now, and they're ready to create positive digital curb appeal for our city by sharing all the very best Sulphur has to offer through the Sulphur Today social media pages. As the Sulphur Today project grows, we will be scheduling interviews and video sessions with businesses, events, and services so they can tell their story of Sulphur Today in a series of ongoing micro-documentaries. Look for the eye-catching Sulphur Today sign when you're out and about, and be ready. We may be stopping by to visit you for a photo op. And don't forget to stop by the Parker Brand Creative Services studio in Sulphur to grab a Sulphur Today decal for your vehicle or business. We want people visiting our area to know that they can find all the wonderful things we have to offer with ease and be a part of our history by utilizing the Sulphur Today pages or by searching the Sulphur Today hashtag. Do you want to help us tell the story of Sulphur Today? Here's what I need you to do right now. Visit and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/Sulphur Today. And be sure to share positive Sulphur information and post often using the hashtag Sulphur Today. Now, back to Find the Good News.
I love you just as well.
I've seen that change.
Whenever we were recording Nikki's episode and I had to jet out of here, I had 5 loans.
Oh my gosh.
In one day.
That was
And I remember telling Abby, I said, Abby, I'm like, thank you for all your help. We are never doing this again.
Yeah.
We're going to space it out.
We dubbed it the full Fruge.
We just had a lot because we really do have deadlines.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that you have to disclose so many days before you can actually close.
Yeah.
Whenever it's like a personal real estate deal, and it just happened that lots of people had really tight contracts because of the time that it got to us or things that got delayed. And I was like, we're gonna make it happen for them and we're gonna do it. I was like, but we're not going to do this to ourselves on a regular basis.
Well, because then that becomes the new normal.
This is not going to be the normal.
Yeah. And that's hard. I mean, that's a good point for people listening too to take away from that, is that, you can get to stages in your life where you have set this new normal and you can't get out of it once you get into it, because then it becomes the expectation. And once people begin to expect that as the normal, when you run out of your steam just runs out, and you go, look, for me, like, okay, I'm 45. It takes a toll on me physically. Like, my health changes when I am caught in that stress box constantly. Right. And so when I started pulling back, I'm not going to lie, there have been clients that I've had to kind of go, hey, I can't work with you anymore. It's nothing against you. You're just in a pace that is no longer the pace I can live at.
Yeah.
And if I can kill myself and destroy my health for me and my family, and which is only going to put me in the grave sooner, by continuing this relationship in this format. And some have remained and we've reworked the structure, and some just aren't our clients anymore. And I had to be okay with that. And it's made us smaller and more focused on the people we do have and the people that do work within those structures. Because I've run into the same thing, and that padding and all of that reserve, we structure all our projects that way. And what I would see and learned over the years is that we have a media deadline, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I would see, after I did my projection, I go, this is an unrealistic deadline. Everything's now hoghead cheese is what I've called it. Everything's squeezed down into this little tiny container. I'm like, there's no time to do the work proof it, give the client some time to proof back and forth, and then get it off to the media in a reasonable way. If I say okay to this every day, all the time, this is the new normal. Constantly in hoghead cheese zone. Mm-hmm. And what I found out over the years is that those media deadlines are arbitrary. They're creating a reserve for themselves. They have a real deadline. That's 2 weeks. And I'm going, So everybody's tracking back. And the reason they're doing that is because they know there's always somebody catching their tail. I said, but we're creating a system of everybody constantly catching their tail by creating too many layers of reserve. So it's like, why don't we all find out what the real actual day is, and we all work at a reasonable pace, but it's all fear. It comes from fear.
Right.
I'm afraid I'm not going to get that ad in. I'm afraid I'm not going to get it to them. I'm afraid I'm not going to get the buy, and it's all just backtracking on fear.
Right.
A lot of businesses, especially ones who are kind of just starting out or who may have been established and just have been doing it one way for like a really long time, sometimes they have lots of different services, and they're making themselves crazy by trying to fill all these different needs whenever only so much of that is actual, like, really good revenue generating business. They may be killing themselves over trying to offer these little one-offs that take a lot of work, that don't make them a lot of money and use a lot of their time. And so some of it is like saying, no, I don't do that kind of work, or we're not going to offer this anymore. And cutting it out, but you are scared because you're going to be saying no.
And what happens if, I know, because we have recently in the last two to 3 years have done that. Well, we did it slow, so it's not like a big Band-Aid rip, but it's like saying, hey, we're not doing that anymore, and then referring it off to a company that focuses on this service. Well, that's tough, because you're going, but if I start doing this, will they not call for the other things? And we haven't experienced that at all. We haven't experienced it at all. It's been like, okay, no, we've structured things in such a way now where I can say, hey, we just don't do this type of work anymore, but I have somebody I can refer you to who does. I would have never done that a decade ago, but now it's like, okay, that's the better way for us to operate, because we were kind of like you said, you get to a point where you're going, these things are not profitable, but we're using them as bait. But the work to create the bait is more work than the actual work we want to be doing, So yeah, it's weird, little things like that will stress you out for years and years.
It's amazing what honesty will do, isn't it? When you're just honest with yourself and you're honest with your clients, how much a better experience that you have and they have, because you're just flat out honest, and all of a sudden that fear goes away, and things just work out better.
Just tell me what you can do or what you can't do, and we'll work within that framework and not stress each other out and get it done.
Right.
And I brought it up earlier, not to beat on it too much, but I've had a kind of a negative interaction with a company over some insurance work for my vehicle, and it illustrates what you're saying. Nothing that I was told was done the way I was told it would be done. And the product I received, or the service I received, was nothing like what I was told repeatedly. And what I learned through that interaction was how everyone, first of all, let me just say this, everyone was friendly. Everyone was nice. They treated you, they made you feel good to interact with them. But ultimately, all of that was just to get us to give them money. And so what I learned was how painful that dishonesty is, right? Like now, because now I'm having to chase to get the work redone, and they've disappeared, and all that honesty that I thought I was getting was really just a front. And so I'm having to struggle with this because I haven't had an interaction like that in a long, long time. And so now I'm going, man, how do I trust that authentic, and someone who seems authentically honest, but the honesty is really just the front to get your money so they can, kind of shyster you.
Right.
So it's just been a weird experience for me. And when you said that, I was like, yeah, I remember that more than the transaction, the money, which goes back to our original part of what we talked about. More than the sting of the money is the feeling of almost like betrayal.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, you totally betrayed my trust.
Yeah.
I gave you my trust and you betrayed it. And that's heavier for me than the financial loss. Yeah. I'm having a harder time dealing with my own ability to navigate.
And I'm happy, I know it. I'm helped.
I hate to pause the program, but I want to ask you something. Did you know that you can help me and my team at Parker Brand Creative Services grow the Find the Good News signal? For less than a fancy cup of coffee, you can become an Early Risers Club patron on our Patreon page. What's Patreon? Well, it's a way for creators to fund their projects by pooling support from those really passionate people that believe in what they're doing. Do you believe in what we're doing with Find the Good News? I hope you do. We believe that there's already enough negative news in the world, even right here at home, and that good people doing good works deserve a platform to speak from too. That's why we created Find the Good News, and we believe in that simple mission. Maybe you believe in it too. If you do believe in finding and sharing good news, then head over to our Patreon page right now or check out the link in the show description. For a commitment of $3.33 a month, you can join the Early Risers Club of Find the Good News Patreon supporters and get access to the B-Sides, a patrons-only podcast with the crew behind Find the Good News, Parker Brand Creative Services. Each time we level up, the Patreon rewards will get bigger. If you're tired of old news, bad news, and fake news, help support Find the Good News at patreon.com/findthegoodnews. That's patreon.com/findthegoodnews. Now, back to the episode.
And I love you just as well.
You lie to me and tell me you're going to make your payment. You don't make your payment. Like, that hurts me more than you're not making your payment, right?
Yeah,
you know,
right.
like,
You're
not the payment.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Like, it is about the money, but it's not about the money at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Right. It's about kind of like that relationship that you're building.
It's all intertwined.
Uh-huh.
What about whenever you know you're being so sincere and it's just flat out, you know somebody's being ultra cynical?
Yeah.
And you're like, am I really coming off like that? Like, because there's this perception sometimes with folks that have a lot of energy, like they're just trying to shyster you, know, from the ones. And so I fall into that trap. I'm like, no, I'm legit. I'm just excited that you're here. Thank you for the opportunity. Like, okay, no, literally.
Right. There's no way anyone could be this.
Yeah, they're like, they don't. And I'm
They
like,
don't
no,
believe
but
you.
seriously, like, trust me. And then they're just like, they walk away and you're like, dang, man, like, do I need to tone it? I
You
don't
know what it is? I think it comes from people who have probably been hurt or by
Yeah.
something like that, because
Yeah.
it is strange. I mean, I get it. I've talked about smiling a lot on my show, and I get that reaction. Like, I purposely, when I go into a store, I perceived, short recap is that I perceived a lot of scowls when I go shopping. Like, people are like, don't talk to me, don't look at me. And it's almost like we're afraid to interact with each other. And I noticed that shopping seems miserable for so many people. So I thought, well, I'm going to brighten my face up on purpose when I go shop and just smile at people, even when they have a scowl. Well, I've been doing that a long time, and the reactions I get are mixed. Like, some of the reactions are apprehension. Like,
Yeah.
why are you smiling at me? Why are you being friendly to me?
Yeah.
You know, like, don't you know we don't do that out here in the world?
Yeah.
And I have received that, and I think it comes from people thinking you want something from them.
And on a similar topic, so when I run into people that I recognize, I tell them hi. Like, even if I don't really know them or I didn't know them, because I'm like, well, what if I don't tell them hi and then
Yeah,
I just
right.
think like
Go
I'm
for
a
it.
jerk.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, I would rather be the weird person that tells you hi, because you don't, even though they don't really know you, but you had that semblance of like,
Well, you put the
like
ball in their court.
recognition versus the opposite, where I come off as cold.
Right. I had that happen with somebody recently, and they were like, yeah, I thought you just didn't want to talk to me. And I said, I just didn't know if you remembered me. But it was that my assumption that
you'd have just
Right,
said
it was
hi.
like I had to choose. I'm like, okay, I'll just be
Yeah.
like the weird
Yeah.
person who's like telling people hi
Yeah.
versus trying to come off like cold.
It's way less awkward when you walk away knowing that you were proactive in the hi.
Yeah.
Because you don't walk away going like, well, maybe I should have said hi. No, you did. And like I said, you leave the ball in their court, and you can walk away with a clear conscience. you know?
Someone shared something. I don't know if it was like a little meme thing, but I read it and I was like, oh, I like this. This is kind of sticky. It said, instead of telling our children don't stare, tell your children, teach them how to say hello.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and I thought about it really. I was like, think about that for a minute. I go, yeah, that's true. Like, we teach them to not stare, and we say, don't stare, that's rude. Instead, we should just be saying, hey, and if you're going to look at somebody, just go say hello and introduce yourself.
That's a good approach to that.
And really, that flips that around a little bit.
It does.
This has been really fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think people listening will get what y'all show's about and the personalities. That's what I was hoping. You know, because it makes it special. Like I said, no, you could put two different people on Tower Hour. Yeah. And it's not going to be the same.
And that's like, and this may sound terrible, but I actually don't care that we're doing it for the bank anymore because I just get so much out of it personally. You know, sitting down with people and sharing their stories. I'm like, well, it's been worth it. Like all the ones that we've done so far, just to me.
I know.
You know, and getting to like sit down with them, that I'm like, well, who cares if it actually worked for marketing, you know?
Right. It's interesting you say that, because I actually kind of, it's in a weird way, I have the same thought. I go, yeah, we're doing this service for FNBD to produce this thing, but I actually want to know, like, who's coming in? Oh, good. I get excited because I'm going, okay, I get to meet somebody. Like when Nikki came in, you know, that was a great one. And it hasn't launched yet, but I mean, it was great because I go, you know, you said it. We see people on a billboard. And we don't know who they are. We think we make assumptions about them if we even know who they are. And she was one of those people that was in that category for me. You know, I was like, well, I've seen her, and honestly, I know nothing about her. I knew she was her family owned Nina P's. Yeah, I mean, I'm being honest. I knew
great sandwiches,
and that she may have worked there.
Yeah.
And you know, it's crazy. I'd never eaten there, but I knew who they were because I'd seen them when I'd first moved back to Lake Charles. I'd see them all
lunch
on billboards and lunch
like
specials.
Really good.
Okay, well, so I need to go one day, someday when I
and then plan to take a nap after.
Yes. Zero productivity after a sandwich.
But she was definitely in that category for me where I was like, yep, I've seen you for years. I know you do real estate, and that's like it. Yeah. That's it. And then, you know, she comes in and tells her story, and it's like just this Jack in the Box opens and all the stuff comes out. And I'm like, wow, this is an interesting person with an interesting story. Totally not what I could have been. My total takeaway of I summed this person up as blonde woman, real estate.
Yeah, you put in this little box.
Right, the professional
I didn't know
box.
anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally knew nothing else. And if I didn't have a chance to interact with her, I wouldn't. So y'all are doing something great with that. Like pulling off those layers so people can see. I love that.
Yeah. We feel like that's what just good old fashioned business is about. It's what it's always been about, and this is a platform for us to really highlight that. And yeah, I'm with you, Lydia. I'm just having a blast. I mean, as if we don't already look forward to Fridays. You know, for us, that's podcast day. I'm always text her, happy podcast day, you know. So we feel like we've got a really good lineup. I know next week we're going to be talking to somebody with a lot of good energy. And then I mean, we booked up September pretty quick. And then October, I reached out to some folks yesterday who are going to be really excited. And I think it's going to provide a whole different twist than the folks that we've been visiting with before. We're actually going to travel, which is going to be.
That's right.
We're going to travel for that. We're going to go to their office. They've got another good office space to set up and talk with. But that's a family, three generations. Yeah. So it's going to be cool.
It's exciting.
And we love hearing people's stories. So if anybody wants to connect, and
that's great.
You know, local. I mean, we're both kind of in the social media side of the bank, so I would say the easiest is probably find Bank FNBD on Facebook and shoot us like a direct message, and we'll work to connect with them. That's probably easier than even doing an email. And it's on every podcast platform that's out there, and a few that are on the way, and then it comes out every 2 weeks, right? And then it's perfectly digestible, because I mean, I sometimes think, like, my show goes long, it's a long format, but y'all's is right in that zone. It's like 45 minutes to an hour.
And I'm happy, I know it.
This episode's Fishing for Goodies Fishbowl sponsor is Brimstone Museum and Henning Cultural Center in Sulphur, Louisiana. I don't know what you look for when you travel, but one of the things I look for when I'm putting together my itinerary is a unique museum or gallery in the city I'm traveling to. I do this almost every time I go to a new city, but if I'm being honest, I'm guilty of not always doing that very thing right here at home in Sulphur, Louisiana. That's really a shame, because we have one of the most interesting, historically relevant, and culturally rich corners in any city in the country, about 2 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I'm talking about the Brimstone Museum and Henning Cultural Center. Have you ever really thought about why our city is named Sulphur? They've got a permanent exhibit on the history of the sulfur industry that answers that simple question and more. You really get a full scope of just how important the sulfur mining industry was to the development of Southwest Louisiana and the impact it had on the rest of the world. Yes, the rest of the world. On the same property, right next door to the museum, is the Henning Cultural Center, presenting some of the most interesting, modern, and culturally relevant local art shows I've ever seen. My dear friend Tom Trahan and the Brimstone Historical Society have really worked hard to give us this treasure, and it's a multifaceted jewel that I plan to take advantage of more often. You don't have to wonder what their hours are, or how to get there, or what shows are coming up. Just go to brimstonemuseum.org like I did, and subscribe to their mailing list right there on the homepage. That's brimstonemuseum.org. Tom will make sure you start getting the announcements for each and every new show at the gallery. But you don't have to wait for the mail to arrive to enjoy this historical local treasure. You don't have to be guilty, like me, of overlooking a local wonder that conveniently sits next to the Grove, one of the most beautiful walking parks in Southwest Louisiana. Drop in and say hi to Tom for me. Tour the museum and center, and make sure to tell Tom that you heard about Brimstone Museum on Find the Good News. Now, let's take that dive in the fishbowl.
Now, at the end of y'all's show, you do a thing called the free fall. Well, I don't want to tell people exactly what that is. I want them to go listen to Tower Hour to find out what that is. But at the end of my show, we do something called the fish bowl. It's fishing for goodies.
Oh, yeah.
So fishing for goodies is, y'all are looking at
I've been distracted by the stickers.
The stickers are,
I've caught those.
You like want to turn it around and look at all the cool, some of them are old too, some old stickers. But so the way this works is, and the way I do it when I have multiple people is you just take turns drawing, right? But I'll tell you what's in there so you can kind of feel around. There's these big cards, and those are Would You Rather. They're small little slips of paper, and those are submitted by guests or listeners or me. And then there's these other things that are come out by a company called Better Self, and they're like playing card size cards. And those are just all kinds of icebreaker type questions.
How many do we get to do?
So each person, you're going to do 3 total, but you don't do 3 apiece.
Yeah.
What you do is, like, if you draw or you draw, then we'll just discuss it that way. So it's whoever wants to go first.
Ladies first.
Okay. I don't remember what you said about
Just get us a good one, Lydia.
Let's see.
Ooh,
There we go.
I like the back of that one.
Okay, experiences. What's one of your pet peeves?
Ooh, pet peeves.
Okay, so I'm a little OCD.
Okay.
And since we're in a marketing branding office, when there's like really giant typos like places, that is one of my pet peeves. Oran can attest to it.
Yeah, I'm bad about
They
it.
basically added me to the proof thing so that I could catch things on the earlier instead of afterwards, when I'd have to be like, hey, I saw this.
Yeah.
But it is one of my pet peeves, and I can't change that about myself.
That's interesting. I'm an emotional
I've just
writer.
tried to change my approach to it over the years to be better.
Yeah.
I have to write and not worry. I've learned that even back when I took creative writing in college. I have to write, especially if I'm going to write passionate romance copy for a brand. I have to just write it and whatever comes out, and then go read it again. But that's the problem. Is it gets back to timelines.
Yeah.
You write it, you read it, you think you've got it, and then it's like, man, I got to get this out, and then you get out and you're like, oh no. There's this glaring error that your brain just walked right over.
Yeah.
And like I have, I'm on Instagram at like High Heeled Banker, and I try to do like some different inspirational posts and stuff out there.
Yeah.
And occasionally, like, I'll be typing it and I'll put it in my notes, and it'll be like 3 a.m. in the morning when I've been up feeding the kid. And so it like didn't register some of the typos, and I actually go and publish it, and I'm like, oh.
I know.
And it like I feel it when I do it even more so than when other people do it. So it's like a pet peeve for myself.
I get it.
And then I'm like, have to go back and edit it and fix it.
Yeah, I was just talking about this on my podcast. I told somebody, if you go, you can see how many times someone's edited a post.
Yeah.
So if you go back and look at something maybe that you liked that I post on Facebook, go look at how many times, because I'll go back and go, oh my gosh,
Didn't like that.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Or I'll just have like a weird typo, and I'll do it 20 times, because then I'm going, oh, that sentence structure's all jacked.
Yeah. I'm so glad I didn't get that question,
Oh, that's your question
No,
too.
no,
I
it's
have
your
to.
question.
Oh, I
You
have to
gotta
answer it
answer
too.
it
I thought it was in. I thought it was in a safe zone. I was like,
No,
thank goodness.
I just get to go first on that
Yeah.
one, so it means you
Lydia.
had more time to think about it.
That's right. That's right. You get to see what she...
So I don't have. Let me explain. I don't really have a pet peeve because the things that would annoy me are usually and my wife is so wonderful about sharing this with me. Let me say, is usually the things that I get the most annoyed about, or she always finds a way to spin it into my deficiencies.
Oh, so it's something you do.
Yeah,
Like if it's something you're annoyed about, it's like, well, you do that.
It's because exactly, and it's because of my own fault and brokenness, like we talked about, that I realize that's why it's annoying me in the first place, and then so it immediately neutralizes the peeve. So I can't really. I mean, I can give you some examples of some times where I felt like, you know.
That's
but then
kind of like when they say like people aren't happy like with other people because they're not happy with
that's
themselves.
it. That's my
So
story.
it's like where it stems from.
Right. I wasn't happy, or I wasn't in that situation, and that's what got me. It wasn't that this happens all the time, because once I correct it, it's really no longer a peeve of mine. You know, I just, because I realized like, gosh, I do that all the time, or well, it's because I was thinking of it this way.
Yeah.
And now I'm not being a kuyon anymore. And okay.
It's interesting because you're basically describing what's a great thing is that people are mirrors. They're the best mirrors, right? You're
Yeah.
seeing in them a thing that you need to change in yourself. So you may have to change them, just change it in yourself.
Yeah, like I don't mind different color pencils, or even a good. I love a good typo. Okay, every now and then. Okay, what kind of? So I like to change the variations of y'all sometimes. You know, I'm okay with that. But so like I said, most of the time it comes to my own fault if I'm peeved about something.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. So there isn't one thing like you just go, this drives me crazy.
Nope.
Wow.
Even a personality type. I used to think that folks that I don't want to label a certain career path, but it's those that have the personality basically completely opposite of me. I always struggled like connecting with those folks, and so sometimes it bothered me whenever I realized, okay, I am dealing with this type of person again. But once again, it just came down to realizing like, well, they're probably feeling the same way about me. So, okay, so maybe who needs to adjust here? And that's whenever so I know whenever I identify that type of person who has that particular type of need, instead of telling him or waiting on him to ask me to hit the brakes a little bit, why don't just go ahead and pre-hit the brakes and understand and appreciate his personality and adapt to it, instead of being offended by it or being scared of it. And so once again, I kind of corrected that problem. And so I don't know, I got nothing, guys.
That's interesting.
Sorry about that.
I also don't like the sound of fingernail files.
Oh yeah, that's
So I'll say another one since Kyle didn't have any.
That's what a good partner's for. What's your other one? Oh,
No, that's it. Fingernail files.
Yeah.
Like I hate
I
the
see.
noise of a
Yeah.
fingernail file. I can't deal with it.
or clippings. I know unfortunately I'd clip my nails.
like all of that. Like
Clink,
whenever,
clink,
like
clink.
if I go get manicures or pedicures, it's not as relaxing as it should be because those noises.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
might have
like
to
them.
do like one of those earmuffs
Yeah, I should
while you do your
probably
nails,
Listen to like
or listen to a podcast.
something.
Yeah.
Listen to Find the Good News.
interesting. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, I've got some. They're all over the place, though. I could sit here and probably do a whole podcast about things that probably just irritate me. I know for me, not in so much the specific thing as I always compare it to just slipping off of a roof and just sliding all the way to the bottom of a hole, because once I start focusing on one, I have
Then you
to
see
be
more.
super careful because I'll be off.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
be off and have to climb back out because I'm like, man, now I'm complaining. Complaining is just so seductive. And once you start, I mean, it just draws you in further and
You
further.
open up the door.
Yeah.
And then more walk through.
Totally. Well, that was a good question. All right.
Look and wait.
There's a lot in there.
There's a lot.
so
I mean,
much.
just so many people just go right off the top, but man, dude, get in there, get deep
Yeah,
tissue.
I'm gonna need to reposition the bowl.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I thought this would be a lot easier to like swirl it around and really
No,
feel
that's
things.
what I was like. Wait, there's
It's kind of like you just have
packed.
to. Yeah,
Packed in.
it's like
You just
your
gotta-
hand is the card because there's so many
There's
in here.
so much in there.
Wait a minute. That's it.
You got it. Got the one. God, what is it? Is it dragons or something?
I hope so.
Because there was that. Somebody we had 2 times. Somebody drew the same question about dragons.
Okay, now it's a pink card and it's got a heart with
Oh,
a circle
good.
around it, so it's gonna be really lovely.
There we go. I like this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, list the 5 people you spend the most time with. How have they affected your behaviors, thoughts, and life?
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is way easier than the first one that Lydia got. Thank goodness. Well, geez. Let's just go ahead and start with the family. Okay. I mean, that's the basic one. I'm going to start with my wife and how she's, we spend as much time as we can together. And, we've had 3 children at this point. But basically, like I said, she's been the perfect mirror to me that and she's always the mirror that I need to look into because I know that she's going to be honest with me 100% of the time, even when it absolutely makes me upset. I got to appreciate that. So it's affected me in a lot of different ways. Number one, just being honest with myself, and which has helped me be just a better person, but helped me be the best version of myself oftentimes whenever she shares my faults, and not to the point where like she's nagging. Yeah. But just oftentimes I'm upset about something, and then she always calls to basically, Kyle, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Yep. You know what I mean? So number one right there, my wife. I wish I could spend more time with my dad now, but he's got to come in there. I mean, gosh, I'm not going to go into a sub story, but I lost my mom when I was really young, and so my dad immediately, he and I both, he was the guy that spent that through, and I seek still to this day, 33 years old, I seek so much of his approval, but watching him, he's affected me because of the way he's affected other people. And every time I run into somebody that knew my dad, it's always so positive, and it's always so much respect, and just how he changed environments and just how he moved energy whenever he went into rooms. And I was like, man, and just somebody like that, I mean, I'm just so proud of him. Yeah. And I wish I could spend more time with him. Obviously, we're, with being married and having children and working a lot, every chance I can, I try to we got to see him last night. He came and watched the kids while me and my wife had a little date night. So that was great. At this point, I'm going to save the last 3 for my children. Okay. Yeah. Once again, it's the easiest big part of the people that I hang out with a lot. And, just start with my son, Finn. He's 6 years old. I'm so excited to have a kid like him because he's not anything like me. I mean, there's certain things, but for the most part, he's got these character traits that I'm really excited to watch grow. He's so intuitive. He learns. He's very intellectual. He's very sensitive, and he's competitive. He's an athlete. He can play whatever sport he wants to play. He asks great questions. And so he's always challenging me to come up with the answer or solution for him. And so he's been a lot of fun to hang out with as he's gotten older. He's getting into basketball now, even though he has some challenges shooting on a 10-foot goal. He still tries. He does it the best he can. He'll make them now. And so it's really exciting to see that he's physically grown. But then now that my wife's working with him in school, listening to how they're learning and how he's learning different things all day is great. I'm also a very proud father of 2 daughters. Man, shout out. Those are game changers when you have those daughters. My little girl Millie, who is my princess, and I have nicknames for all 3 of the kids. So Finn is Baldy, which if he knew I was saying this on radio, he would kill me because he don't want me to tell people that in front of people.
How old is he?
He's 6. I say Baldy, and then I always had a song for them growing up. But Millie is Princess Yu. I don't know where that came from. And then my youngest one is Princess Gudaruki.
Now, what's that?
I don't know.
You just
came up with it, and so I call her Rook. I'm like, Rook, what's up, Rook?
So
she's going to be 2 in October. But so Millie, she's affected me. Like, we get a daddy-daughter day this Saturday. So I got to go learn how to fix her hair and stuff. I'm looking forward to get this, because with 3, I mean, you really have to balance your time, and you can tell there's a lot of jealousy in between.
And they're close in age.
They're all 2 years apart, basically. So every odd year, that's what's been the tradition. So Millie, she's very independent, which is really unusual, because Finn has to have attention. Millie's really independent, but we have our conversations right now. She's starting to learn how to ask some really good questions and tell me how she feels about certain things. And coming from a young girl's perspective, it's really different. And it's just definitely, of course, impacted the softer side of me. I mean, I just have incredibly hard time telling her no. because she's a princess and she's beautiful, blonde, blue eyes, and just knows how to pull my heartstrings.
Yeah.
And then you've got, so moving on to the youngest, who's Lucy, and Lucy Ann, middle name Ann, named after my mother. And normally it's in sequence. So Lucy Ann is usually kind of how, or Rook. You know? So Rook, she's gonna be 2, and she's really starting to come in her own. That's the one that gotten sick, and this was she's impacted me. Obviously, her spirit is very similar to mine, and I can tell this from, because like she will wave at people. She goes out of her way to reach out and connect with folks at almost 2 years old, and that's really fun to watch. She's also the first time I ever had an experience where I thought I might lose a child. Mm-hmm. That was what I was sharing with you, Oran. That day, you're like, I had no idea. Guys, I've been telling you, I would wish that upon nobody, of course, and those that have lost children. My gosh, I have mercy. I pray for you. And so we had that connection. This was just in January, so this was part of this year. So hold her a little bit tighter most of the times because of that. Mm-hmm. But she's also just a blast to watch grow up and watch her with that energy. Just when you start having children, you realize how small the world is, and how the biggest things in your mind need to be the smallest things in your mind, because the biggest things need to be those relationships with your kid and revisiting that joy that they bring to the world. So those are my top 5 people that have affected my behaviors, thoughts, and my life.
Very close to you, all those people.
Yeah,
right inside your.
That's my circle. Immediate family right there. And of course, I've got a top 5. Professional. I mean,
different tiers.
Different
silos,
tiers,
but those. Are,
those are the ones that are going to be there. Those are the ones that have been there, and so, that's where it all starts and begins for the top 5 right there. So
that's a good list.
Okay, I'm gonna need the card.
Okay.
I have to reread it. Okay. Now it says the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
Yes.
Oh, so it wasn't necessarily family.
But
you do.
Do you want me to answer it the same way Kyle did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go through my family first then. So Jeff, my husband, I joke not to belittle him, but he's basically like Mr. Mom. Like, he's the reason that our house stays tidy and clean. He's the clean one. I may have more patience with the craziness of the kids, but he's the one that kind of makes sure that stuff gets done so that things don't pile up. And then at the end of the day is my strongest source of support. Everything that you'd want in a partner that you're going through life with. So love him. He can see things more black and white than I can. There's some things where I don't want to say I make excuses for people necessarily, but I see things maybe as more gray. Yeah. And he's just very firm, that's right or that's wrong, that's good or that's bad. I see. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad point of view. I think it has a little bit of a balance.
Sometimes you need that, and sometimes you need some gray too.
So to kind of work it out. Scott is the oldest at 21 months. He's tons of fun. He pushes me, especially being new, still fairly new mom right now. He's in the age where he's starting to do things that he knows are good or knows that are bad, that he's not supposed to, versus just me needing to feed him and bathe him and take care
he's
of
making
him.
some choices now.
So we have moments that are challenging. Sometimes I feel like I'm being too strict, and sometimes I feel like I'm necessarily not being strict enough. It's just kind of a balance, because I'm trying to not be a helicopter mom. I let him
bad about that.
I let him do some things that he'll probably end up getting hurt, because if I don't let him kind of bump his head, then he probably will just keep trying to do it, and I'll just keep trying to have to bring him off the couch trying to jump on it. So it's a balance, and he has a little brother that I have to tend to too. So sometimes it's just kind of
just him.
I can't just only tend to him, But it's a lot of fun. It's so cool to see how they pick up on things and learn them or discover them for the first time, which I think is neat to see as parents.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I agree.
Right, like the first time they see something, the first time they say certain words, and just kind of seeing those milestones, the first time they're able to experience things like the zoo,
Yeah.
That's just so cool. And then, and he's go, high energy. Harrison is laid back. He's just like a little bundle of joy.
That's the one you said
right
just
now.
doesn't,
Just chill?
doesn't cry.
Yeah, he's just chill. He still only eats like 4 ounces at a time, and once he has what he needs, he's like, okay, I'm done. Takes
Envy
his
that.
time. And Scott was like, I'm having 7 ounces
Life
and
goals.
I'm having it in like 5 minutes. Like he was like done fast. So it's very interesting to see kind of how they're different so early on. But he has such a sweet smile. And he only chuckles at a few people, and I'm one of them, so I'm lucky. But we'll see as they continue to kind of grow up, how they interact and push us and grow us as parents. I would say one of the other people that's impacted my life, I don't necessarily get to spend as much time with her as I want to, but I have an aunt who never had any children as of her own, but she basically took all of her nieces and her nephews and now like her great nieces and nephews kind of like under her wing.
Yeah.
And one of the smartest people I've ever met, like basically photographic memory.
Oh, that's
can
cool.
remember things. She's an attorney, like so smart, so articulate, and she's fun because she has an opinion, but she does it in a fun way.
Yeah.
She has a great approach about her, and then also is very creative and like decorates cookies and stuff, and was one that I remember like one summer we spent a week and would go to Rayo's over in Beaumont doing cake decorating because she got us linked up to do that. Just
That's
like
cool.
fun aunt,
That's nice.
just kind of like that's who I want to be like to any future like nieces and nephews that I have.
That's cool, man.
So I've always looked up to her. And then I'd have to say Ashley. So I've had the pleasure of working with Ashley, for a very long time. I was already like family friends with her, and then had the pleasure to work for her like my first job kind of out of high school. I was just a teller, but she's been like a great mentor to me. So as far as like professional mentor or person, if I had questions to, then that's who I would go to. And she helped me because of course in any kind of business, right, like it's about sales, it's about production, but she really helped me frame everything to see people at the end of it, which is what I needed to be able to be motivated to do my job, because I couldn't do it for the sake of meeting a goal or meeting a number. Right. But I could do it if it was like, hey, these people aren't going to get the same level of service or care, banking with XYZ Bank as they will get if they get it from you. So just be there, be a resource for them. It's kind of like that style approach. And then
that's an important lesson. I mean, that there's people at the end of the numbers. I mean, it's not.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah, and she and Karen are both mentors in the way too of females in banking and finance, because it's only recently that females have started to get more onto the heavy-handed lending side or up into the higher levels of banks and the organizational structure. And I think our generation is going to see that change. We already see a lot of that as far as the pipeline goes, building up, but they were part of the beginnings of that and just the examples that they set for us. So I look up to them. And I was always one of the people who it helped me to see someone do something and watch how they do it. And then I would just kind of like take and glean the different things that I wanted to incorporate or make it my own. But to have examples that I could follow.
Not just hear about it, but to actually watch and see firsthand.
And then my personality, so if I don't respect you like as a person and for who you are and character, it's really hard for me to follow leadership.
That's definitely how I am, for sure.
I don't want to say I don't like acknowledge leadership, but I have to have respect established
key
there.
For me, for sure.
And so that's one thing. that has never been a question, and I'm so thankful for that.
That's awesome.
Can I share a thought with you real quick, Lydia?
Sure.
So I've thought a couple times you made comments about ladies in the banking workforce and how they've taken these leadership positions, and I just always look at us as I think we're going to work together for a really long time. I feel like that, and I know at some point if you ever take like a higher leadership role, dude, I would so work for you. Like I know that for a fact, and it's not often been my nature to want to like step back and not, but like I just know with her vision and the creativity that she has and the way she does connect and what she does so well, like I can get behind that and I can push really hard, and so just doing some foreshadowing for you, because I know if you think about that, I don't know if that's a role that you want, but
I think right now what we're establishing in the bank is a lot of the future.
Yeah. We're young.
Bank.
We're really young.
And I think the working relationships that we have now are that eventually, some of those other key roles, we'll see the same people in them. And, and how we've been able to work together for a long time will come back around full circle. So.
True.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those are really great lists. I hope those people listen. Well, I mean, the little kids.
The kids can't,
right.
But I hope those people hear those things that y'all said. I mean, really. I would. I mean, who wouldn't want to hear that kind of thing?
Yeah, and maybe they can one day. They'll listen in, and
they can.
Well, actually, I mean, the kids, when I've done radio stuff, they like to get on and listen to Dad.
That's cool, huh?
Yeah, so maybe we'll let them listen to when this one rolls out.
Yeah, I can't get my kids to listen to my show.
Yeah,
they're just not. I can get them to listen to other people's show and go, hey, you might like my friend's podcast or whatever. I think it's because they hear me all the time.
Yeah,
that may change though.
Yeah, maybe. Well, somebody said that. They were like, maybe one day that'll mean something to them.
Yeah, when yours are at a different age. Ours are still in like we're their biggest fans age, or that phase. So I think that's probably part of it too. I probably won't be as cool 10 years from now.
You're almost building a time capsule of sorts.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Like
They find out things sometimes.
Yeah.
So down the road they could go back and listen to.
Never thought of that.
Stories from Dad.
Yeah, I wish I had that.
Hey, it's not going on a CD.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a CD where it's gonna get scratched.
What would that be like to be able to go back and listen to your parents have conversations about important things? I think it'd be really cool.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, it would be neat. Man, think about it that way. Yeah, I got one more question.
Oh, jeez.
I know. That was a good one, though. That was a healthy, meaty question.
I'm going to pick one of the ones that, like, someone else's.
Yeah, because I think back the answer to that one, it's like, man, definitely work, because obviously we spend 40 plus a week with these people.
This one is very different. Would you ever consider training for a triathlon?
Oh.
No. Because I do not swim.
Oh.
Or I swim, but I do not like to swim.
Okay.
So the running and the biking would be fine.
But no swimming.
But the swimming, I would...
Why don't you like to swim?
I don't know. I don't know if I just got, like, introduced to it, like, too late in life.
You get in the water and it's like, what is this?
Well, I mean, I like... like occasionally going, but that's just like not my thing.
You don't ever think like I want to go for a swim, though, yeah?
Yeah, no, like running outside, love it.
Yeah.
Like before I had Scott, I was training to do a half marathon. I'd gotten up to like 11 miles, and now like part of the problems I'm having, I'm in physical therapy working to try to get back on that same path. And biking, I wouldn't necessarily love it, but wouldn't necessarily hate it. But swimming, I don't enjoy it.
What's interesting about those things? That's a question I never would have thought I'd have to answer, but I love to swim. I actually really love it, but I don't do it enough. And I think a lot of it has to do because when I was a kid, I couldn't get water. Well, I still can't get water really in my ears. I have to wear something. And so it was a hindrance. And so going swimming, I always go, I got to wear this thing. And it made me not want to do it as much. But I do love it. Yeah. And then bike riding, when I was a kid, dude, you couldn't get me off my bike. But then as I got older, I ended up with something I had to have surgery, and I can't sit on a bicycle seat like for more than, I barely can sit on it for 10 minutes without having to get off. And so that's another thing where I go, man, I really would like this, but I just can't do it. Yeah. It's one of those things. So I guess I couldn't do it either. Not really. I don't think I could swim or ride a bike for no prolonged period of time.
Yeah. Man, I found out a few years ago, we were in the pool and I was trying to show off, and Believe that, right? I was like, hey, babe, watch this.
Just flip.
And so I was like showing how fast I could swim. And then come to find out, she's like,
I love that.
she's like, you're a terrible swimmer. So it's kind of like when I discovered your handwriting. I was like, what do you mean I'm a terrible swimmer? You know?
You look like a person who could swim really well.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, he does.
That's what he told me. You look like a person who would have good handwriting.
Like, Kyle, I figured you're a better swimmer than you are.
Hey, it was just a moment of humility, as you can imagine. But
I like that.
hey, the answer for me though is absolutely. I'm an extremist when it comes to like pushing my body to the limits. I mean, if there's a physical challenge, I'm going to do it, you know, and, to a fault. I mean, I've injured myself before, and but I love the idea of fitness. I'm a fitness enthusiast. I like to exercise. I like to do all sports, anything that involves just movement of my body. I want to do it. And so like biking, swimming, running, yes, I'm all for it. Now, here's the catch, is that when it comes to running, for most folks, most runners I see, you know, they got these really nice strides. And when I run with folks that are, you know, 6-7 inches taller than me, I'm like 2 or 3 steps to their 1 or 2 strides. So I really got to get my little legs kicking. So, you know, even though it's a challenge for me, all day long though, I would still get after it and go for it. I love to bike. I do spin classes, and I like to ride my bike to the gym when I can. So yeah, 100%, man. I think it would be a lot of fun, just for the sake of thinking, like, could I do it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's do this. You know.
Yeah. My buddy Dan Smith, he in the running community, and most of them know him. They call him the Legend. He's a running machine. He's one
built
of these guys.
For it.
Oh, dude, he started running. God, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years ago. To quit smoking. He was just like, well, I'm going to replace smoking with running, and it was just kind of like a hobby thing. And
a lot better addiction for sure.
Dude, he's so focused, and he gets kind of extreme, and now he just runs these insane marathons. He had his toenails removed because he would run
runner's toe.
Yeah, his toenails would like just bleed and fall off in his socks, like just that from running.
That's a thing.
So he went to I guess he had plastic surgery or something. Had his toenails taken off, so he doesn't have to deal with it anymore.
So I wear a size 7 shoe, and I sized up to 7.5, so I wouldn't put as much pressure. But it's that constant pressure that you're doing, and it's like the pressure you're putting on like all those blood vessels.
I guess, and that just pushes at the ends of the extremities.
That just helped me, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Up to 7.5.
He comes by here when I get here in the morning. Sometimes he runs down. He runs all over, but I get here about 5:45 some mornings, and I'll see him come running by. You know, he's a running machine, man. No. I like to run. I can't. I've got a problem with my left knee that just won't go away. So when I hit it really hard, I love to go walking though. I'll walk till Kingdom Come, but I can't run like I used to.
Yeah.
So all 3 of those, I guess, would be out for me. I couldn't. I just don't know.
But do you want to?
Do I want to? I've never had a desire to do that. No, I'm not. I don't think I would want to.
And mine's not from a competitive place. Like, I've never been, like, competitive. Oh, I have to beat this time or anything. It's more, like, for me, it's just more of the sake to say, oh, this is a goal I want to work to.
Yeah.
I really like watching those guys and gals do the CrossFit games because it's just so impressive. I mean, you got guys that can clean a ton, but then maybe they can't do it. So it really is, when they talk about it being the fittest, there's the strongest man competitions. It's all about strength.
Yeah.
But fitness is just a combination. Who's got the overall average combination of strength and endurance? And that's when you're like, man, this person's just nuts.
I'm laughing over here because everybody who really knows me, I'll share this on the show, but everybody's about to really know me. I don't like sports. I don't. I don't like football, baseball,
still love you.
Basketball, hockey. I get bored to tears. And this is nothing against the athleticism and those people who put the time into it.
I hear you.
Props to them. But like even like when I go to Sulphur High, you're gonna hate this. Like when I go to Sulphur High football games, I go because my son's in color guard and the band, and so I go to watch the band. That's the good truth. And I've tried to watch those games. I cannot do it.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, I'll just support the school.
That's right.
Brand wise, but I just don't have an interest in watching this particular thing. So I just kind of tune out. But there is one sport that I love.
Can I guess it?
Go for it. It's odd though.
I don't know. I'm gonna nail this for Lydia. You ready?
Okay. What is it?
Curling.
No.
I knew it.
No, you want to take a guess?
Take a guess.
Hot dog eating is a sport.
Oh,
It's probably
that's
not
such a good guess.
No, lumberjack competition.
Oh no, you're right. Those are awesome.
Ever since I was in my 20s, when I was like, this is a thing. I would sit and watch lumberjack competitions
It's
till I fall
nuts.
asleep. I love watching them throw those axes and chop the tops off of those trees and then walk on logs and then just who can chainsaw all of it. I'm like,
It's very unorthodox,
lumberjack.
but it is a really cool thing to watch.
Oh yeah, it is so different and it's such an odd category of thing, but I love woodcraft and outdoor craft and stuff like that, and I guess it's in that category.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like, oh, there's people out there who like are really good at chopping stuff. Dude, I was in all the way. I was like, this is cool.
Found your sport.
I found my sport.
But have you seen the little knife gauntlets? I say gauntlet, I don't know what it's called, but like a knife obstacle course
No.
where they literally take like a kitchen knife and they like have a bottle and like, or like let's say they have 5 water bottles in a row and they go
I've seen people
and then they
do
go
that,
and then
but
they go to the rope and they got to go and then they
Is
go
that
to
a competition?
the cucumber. Yeah, like
Oh, wow.
they just make the little circle around and then there's a cucumber.
Yeah. No, I am a knife
With
just a
enthusiast.
knife.
You know, I do watch a lot of videos about
I didn't know if it was a chopping thing or it was just the wood thing.
They do that though, like they'll cut through water bottles and rope and like different things to show like a knife what it's good for.
Yeah.
I do like watching that on YouTube. I didn't know there was actually competitions though.
Check it out. The guy walks
I probably
around
will.
decent sized knife and just chops various objects, and I think you'll enjoy it especially if you like the lumberjack games.
I mean, many years ago, Michelle can attest to this. She'd come home at night, and I was out in the backyard, saw my stumps out there, and I'd just be throwing a hatchet back there, sticking it. I was like, "Hey, watch this!" I'm like a kid.
Practicing.
Yeah.
Hey, look!
Yeah.
I can stick.
Dude.
So stupid.
I would love for you to post a video with you doing that like
I'd sit out there till
tomorrow.
the sun goes down and throw it. It was relaxing to me. I guess it just goes back to liking being in the woods as a kid.
Dude.
I don't
It's
know.
really not that different than
No, I guess
archery
not.
or people who like to do target shooting.
Yeah, it's in that kind of category, I guess. And I mean, those things are sports. I think it's just in the traditional, football,
Soccer,
baseball,
football.
soccer,
You're
basketball.
right.
And I played those things as a kid. I don't know. I lost my fire for it at some point, and I just got, man, I don't know why. Now, if one of my kids, this is the way it is with anything. If one of my children were doing it, I'd probably be like all back in. Because I remember in my previous marriage, my daughter was in softball, and dude, I'm screaming like everybody else, watching every second of the game. Don't miss a minute.
It's taken me a long time to get appreciation for sports, to keep up with. I say keep up with, to have a tolerance of how much football is on. Like I have to do the fantasy football so that I'm like somewhat invested.
And you get
in
the
some way.
stats. You get to do your stats.
Yes. So I do that, and then baseball I've grown to have a good appreciation for. But basketball and tennis have always been things that I'm more interested in because it has so much movement and it's very quick. Like the momentum can shift very quickly, and it's very active.
Yeah,
That's right.
Like that's why I like to run because like you're constantly moving and constantly active, and that's
see
just
that.
like the kind of
Because football, you
kinda
stop.
higher cardio.
Sometimes you got to take a timeout, stop even more.
Oh, I get exhausted.
And I don't understand all the different kinds of structures and the players, and I'm just I don't.
When you compare it to the sports you talked about,
I don't have an appreciation for like people who understand the sport better.
Yeah. Well, I find for football, for me, it's in the worst category of all the things. It's the most popular sport in South Louisiana.
a lot of stoppage.
Lots. I mean, even just when I'm at those games, it's like a whistle, a flag, talk for a little while, then an injury.
Yep.
And then explain to the crowd or whoever what it was. And then
It's a false start.
Oh, dude, and it just goes on. And I go, man, there's so little actual
doing.
And I just go, man, but the other thing in sports, I don't really like violent sports either. Like I don't really like boxing and I know that MMA and all that stuff's very popular, but I just can't watch people beat each other. That's not.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I get why those people are pros. I don't like the sensationalization of too much of anything. Though. Yeah. Especially violent sports where it's just like a lot of smack talking and just being cruel to each other. I'm like, I can do without that.
I like the Olympics.
I like watching
gymnastics.
Some of the Olympics. Yeah,
Shout out.
Winter Olympics is probably my favorite.
Winter.
ice skating,
Yeah, I like that too.
snowboarding, the different.
I do like watching
skiing.
people dance. I do think
like
that's
that
fun
too.
to watch. I can't dance at all, but I like watching it.
Yeah.
I do like watching people do things I can't do. Sometimes that's fascinating.
Just kind of
to me.
admire that. Like, man,
Yeah,
that'd be
wow.
really
The
cool.
skill. Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
dunking.
Yeah. Well, there is one last little thing on this show. It's better you in a box. We've only been doing it for like 3 episodes, and you see that wooden box that's sitting right there.
Oh, there's more stuff to
Just
pull
one
from?
thing to pull. This isn't even for.
Okay.
This is not a question.
Do I put these back in the fishbowl?
Let's leave them out. I'm gonna take a picture of them, share them with the audience.
Okay, cool.
So, better you in a box is basically what this is: a deck of cards that is a prompt to try to do something whenever you can. That might just shift up your life a little bit. It's an encouragement. I don't know what they are. There's a bunch of them in there. We've had different things come out, but it's also for the audience. This one's just really for the people who are listening to go, hey, you can choose to challenge yourself to do this. Like one of the cards said, have a conversation with somebody that you disagree with. That's a hard thing to do, and I did actually have one, and it worked out beautifully. So,
Lydia?
ooh, Lydia's doing the honors.
Yep, ladies first.
Take the long way to work and use the time to think.
Oh, what's the long way to work for you? It's all long,
Yeah,
huh?
probably over any of the bridges.
Yeah.
So.
You probably are. You already do that. Anybody? So people listen to the show from all over the place, but people who don't know, in Southwest Louisiana, we have 2 bridges.
Yep.
Sulphur and Lake Charles are like sister cities. A lot of people commute from one to the other.
Right.
And one of our bridges is going through some major renovations right now. So we're down to having one fully working bridge, which is really old, and our primary big loop is the one that's down, and there's 2-3 hour delays. A 12 minute trip has been turned to 2-3 hours sometimes.
Now, every once in a while, we do go to DeRitter. And I prefer going 171 versus 27 just because of the type of
Yeah, the
road.
highway's better,
that
it's
it
wider.
is, you know?
Yeah.
But that really isn't a bad drive.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
peaceful.
pretty nice. Yeah, so that's
Some
a
forest
good,
in there.
I'll put on a podcast or
Yeah.
just kind of get caught up thinking about different things, you know? So
Yeah.
that really is a good little drive.
I agree. Yeah. What about you? What's your long way? You don't have a long way to work anymore.
Yeah, I had to end up on the other side of the bridge. I drive into Sulphur every day, and I mean, it's a pretty quick zip. It's really not a long way, but one of the longer things like I told you before, I'd like to ride my bike to the gym.
Yeah.
And so it gives me some time to not only physically warm up, but then mentally warm up.
Yeah.
Just taking the bike.
Yeah. So that is a way you're doing that. in a
Yeah,
way.
instead of the car, because I can get there in about 3 minutes. I live that close to the church, and they have a little life center there.
Yeah.
And I literally take my bike now. It takes about 7 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a little extra time. Now coming home, that's a different story because I do have to catch a lot of that dense traffic
Yeah.
coming through. But it's been a blessing in disguise because I used to be 7 minutes from work there and from into Ritter, and now it's a good 30 minutes. And then the other day when 210 was stopped, it was an hour, and it usually allows my mind to unwind and think about the things that have gone on through the day, so I don't just data dump when I get home.
Yeah.
Wife doesn't like that too much because she has had her full day of kids and teaching and everything else. So kind of I can get back into that dad mode, service role, husband mode, and be ready for it.
That's good.
And so I don't mind the traffic. I know I'm unusual when I talk about the traffic. 'Cause they're
No, I
like,
kind of like it sometimes.
I'm not
to
negative
just
about
be
it.
stuck
I
in
use the benefits of the traffic.
Yeah.
You know?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I just try to honestly it's a good time to just get some quiet time, honestly.
As long as I don't have the kids with me, then I'm good.
You're right. That's a different story.
It is a different story. Everyone's got,
I mean,
that's right.
and I can be pretty patient. And
Yeah.
I know it kind of works people up a little bit.
Me too. I try to be. I don't ever.
As long as they're not screaming at me, then
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, true. All right, Kyle, you got to draw one of these too. Y'all, on this one, since there's 2 of y'all, you're going to each draw one.
Wow. I love it. Oh, I'm going to go with that color. Oh my gosh. So this is the same type of card that I got?
Yeah, well, it's a different deck. This is better you in a box, basically. It's kind of a
wow.
These are just prompts and things. The other ones are conversation starters.
Okay, so this one's going to focus on relationships. And hey, I'll be honest. Y'all know I get long-winded, but occasionally when my deadlines do start chalking up, and I know I get a little bit more on my plate, I'll tend to be a lot shorter-winded, knowing that I've got to get to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, Not today, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to keep the small talk going when you normally cut it short, which I would never normally cut it short. So it's kind of reversed. But yeah, keep that small talk going. Maybe just a few more minutes. I bet you $5, not actual $5 if there's like 50,000 people listening, but I bet you $5 if you take the extra 5 minutes to finish that conversation or just go in a little bit more detail, $5, the response is going to be, man, I really enjoyed this visit.
Happened to me yesterday.
Really enjoyed this visit.
Came up to my truck. I thought that yesterday.
Yep.
So much you can glean.
It's going to be worth it in the end.
I could have give you the money and then said, okay, bye. But it was those time we spent, and then got to hear his story and some details about his life: first name, middle name, last name, how his situation arose.
I can see you looking at him right now.
It's a denser picture, you know, and it was way more valuable to me. And hopefully to him too, you know.
That's why it's important. Take the little extra time on the things that matter.
Occasionally we have people who come in really just to kind of get coffee.
Yeah. No, that happens every day.
You know, if you have older clients who are retired who that's just one of their things. It's kind of run to the bank. They might have like a little deposit to make, and then they just kind of sit and
it's a social interaction,
coffee, you know. And so when I do see like certain ones kind of hanging around, then you know, try to strike up a little bit of a conversation. I
want to ask y'all, and we'll wrap it up, but I'm just curious because I've had this conversation with a few people about how small talk is valuable. We have, you know, this month is suicide awareness, and that came up on one of the episodes about how we're all so busy in this world that we've turned a lot of our interactions into sort of just automated responses. How's the weather? How's the day? How you doing? And we say, oh, good, and we move on. And we don't even mean them. We're not even thinking about it. They're just auto responses. And that was one of the things that the guy that Kevin Yadis was talking about, is taking that time to stop doing those little automated responses and doing just what that card says and go, let me go a little further. Hey, how are you? How are you really doing? Everything okay? And then really listening.
Yeah.
You know, that's so hard to do when you're busy, but the value of it. But then the other thing I wanted to say is I've had other people say, I'm just surrounded with time vampires, you know, where if I see somebody, I go, I want to talk to them. But if I start talking to them, I know I don't even know how to get out of it. There's no way to get out of it. Do you ever run into that too, where you go, I got to get out of this?
Like for Kyle, because conversation comes so easily to him, like I could see where that would happen, right?
Big
where
challenge.
he might have to
Big challenge.
He might have to kind of like be like, okay, like actually close himself off in his office to get something done to knock it out, because like he really wants to go out there and do that. Whereas me being a little bit more introverted, like my natural inclination is just to sit in my office because that's easier. So striking up a conversation is harder. I'm not saying it is hard. Like I do it all the time, you know, but there's certain things that you're naturally like leaning towards, but I guess you have to balance it for the day.
And that's an interesting place to land, because I want to tell people about that balance. I think that balance is what makes your show work. One more time. I mean, getting back to Tower Hour, the podcast by Bank FNBD with Kyle Mestayer and Lydia Fruge, they balance each other out. They're great at interviewing the folks that come on their show. And I just think people who listen to my show, I really do, because I get to listen to y'all's conversations. I think if you like this show, you will like Tower Hour.
Yeah.
I think it's something I would love to encourage people to go check out, and then just get to know y'all better too, because I think as it goes on, they're just going to do that. And they're going to want to meet you. And when they do meet you, they're going to be like, hey, I listened to your show.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really, really cool moment there.
And it was really nice being in this space with you on the microphone.
Because like you never talk.
Right. Usually you're there.
He's finally talking.
Right. And kind of taking notes and stuff for us. So thank you for
this is fun.
Thanks for having us.
That's super fun. And I got this sweet Tower Hour mug.
We got sweet mugs too.
Yeah, that's right. We traded mugs today. I'm gonna take a picture of them sitting next to each other. I'm gonna do a little post so people can see what it's all about. So special.
Good day. A lot of good stickers in here too.
Yeah, man, stickers. We love stickers. I've always liked them, but this is a great opportunity for us to give them out. But yeah, so Tower Hour, you can find that podcast at bankfnbd.com, and you can just search Tower Hour on there. It'll take you to the page. They post all the podcasts there. But really, what I have discovered in producing it is that everywhere that you listen to to podcasts, just go search, and you'll find it. Just
It'll
Tower
be there.
Hour. Yeah. All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks a lot.
and I love you just as well.
Thanks for listening to this first episode of the new season of Find the Good News. If you're looking forward to another season of shows like this, consider supporting Find the Good News at patreon.com/findthegoodnews. Share this episode on social media or leave an honest and kind review. You'll be helping make the Good News signal even stronger. I appreciate your support, but most of all, I thank you for pressing play.